So I just want to go over the WPDC plan template that was created this year to give you a bit of a heads up as to what's involved in it so you're a little bit prepared for the June 6th planning day where you can develop this plan in detail as well as have some time to work on other things that may be of interest to you. So the PD plan template has two components. There's an instruction sheet that lists lots of details as to what each section includes, and there you'll see all the instructions. We also have the blank template that is already populated in your Google Drives where you can just fill stuff in. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go over an example, one of the two examples that we have, and go through each item. So the plan was made so that there was a minimum standard that all reps could do, and this was designed at a fairly low threshold. It wouldn't take too much time. We've gone through and analyzed it, and maybe 1 to 2 hours to complete this at a minimum standard. And that's basically using stuff that you're already familiar with and not doing additional work. And then we've differentiated this plan, so you can certainly go in more detail if you have the interest, if it matches up with the time or things that you're already doing in other work duties. So let's just go through this template. The first item is I've gone through in this example, and you'll see how many hours it took. The writing up was about 3-4 hours, and then the time to actually collect the data involved most of the work here. And most of this one in this particular plan was evaluation. Again, you've got a large range to do this, so we totally believe in differentiation just like we do with our students. And we're not trying to make judgments. Each item you'll find sort of ranges from anecdotal, things that you are aware of based upon working in the schools, working with students, all the way up to formal, which is things that are probably done more via surveys, more formal methods to ensure there isn't bias. One is not better than the other. They are just different, and each is appropriate for different amounts of work and different outcomes. So the continuity, this is basically cut and paste your goals from last year just so you're aware of where things are going, okay? The next item is the needs assessment, and I tend to think this is the big one. So this is really what do you as a teacher find your teachers are saying? What do your teachers hear from students? And then also from the principal or from yourself, what are the gaps? What are we seeing as trends over time? And so there's a fair range in the needs assessment that you can do. Okay, so you're definitely going to be probably looking at your accountability pillar results. But then also, as a teacher, use your own ideas and experience and make sure that those are heard. And that's why we have a collaborative PD committee at the school involving the principal and yourself as a PD rep, and then any other teachers that may be involved. So now we've got through continuity, which is basically what were you doing last year? How does it tie in with this year? You've got the needs assessment, so now where we know sort of where the gaps are or what people are interested, what they think is going to make a difference. So now we actually go through the planning. In the goals and schedules category, we've created a list of all the days where PD or any PD related type of activity would be happening. And so you can sort of backwards plan from those. There are lots of options in how you do this. We've got those in the instruction sheet, list some ideas. But that's basically what you do. Think about backward planning this. So if you have your goal, what are you going to do each day? How much will it cost? And that ties you right into the budget, okay? And before we get to the budget, the secondary goals. So we make a suggestion that your goals for the PD plan are fairly minimal. Keep them to 1, perhaps 2. That doesn't mean you shouldn't be doing a lot more other things, or you may want to be doing a whole bunch of other things. What the goals simply says is what are you going to track and what are you going to look for data? And that means you can certainly be doing other things. You may certainly get good results, but you are not committed to putting them down on paper. They're probably best done anecdotally, or maybe it will water down the amount of time you're able to devote on things. So with that awareness, we keep these secondary goals. These are things that you keep on the radar, such as the divisional goals, the things coming down from the union, and the Minister of Education. And it's a nice way of not forgetting stuff. The budget, you've probably done a lot of this in your goals when you're working that chart, But the budget can be something as simple as here is sort of the general goals that we have as a school. We may only be focused on one in my PD plan, but these are basically the budget amounts. Sometimes you may just look at the budget from last year and say, well, that seemed to work from us last year, so we'll keep the budget roughly the same. Evaluation. Evaluation. This is sort of how did things work. And so this particular plan spent a lot of time on evaluation, saying how did we collect that data? Did we have survey results? Did we talk to teachers, talk to students? Okay. The integration. So this is basically how are you going to share the results of the PD plan? Are you going to have a PD sharing moment in staff meetings? Are you going to say we met our goals in your May PD planning day that most people are using? So how are you going to share that information? And then there's some optional stuff, and you'll see these in blue. So these aren't required for the plan. The management would basically be who's doing what with related to PD and oversight concerns. And that may be something that not everyone wants to do. Maybe we've got small schools and everyone sort of knows their place intrinsically. That is the end of the PD plan. So basically what we're looking at is the green areas. How does this fit in? Continuity, the needs assessment, what have you done to find out what you're trying to do? Your goals, so what are you going to try to do? And how is that scheduled? We've got our budget, so how much money do you need? The evaluation, so what did you find as a result? What difference did it make related to your goal? And remember, you aren't having to evaluate all those secondary goals. And then the integration, how are you sort of sharing these results, or what happened as a result of sharing them in the feedback. And that is it for the PD plan.